So, did you feel lucky that you were able to get a lot of the hard work done before your family came along?
No, because I never let this is a terrible thing, I never let my family get in the way of the festival. And my children will attest to this loudly and roundly. But as my children were large enough where they could participate in any way, they did. My daughters both played recorders for the Punch and Judy shows at Green Showtime, and then later played for the medieval feasts that we held during the Shakespeare Festival. So my daughters, with my wife, became very involved in the music of the festival, and my one son, he found his own way of expressing himself. He became a bull rider.
Well, it makes sense,
doesn't it?
A father that was on Broadway. It's time to go to the rodeo.
And then you go to the rodeo. And I've teased him mercilessly about it, because I say, well, it's nothing more than theater. You wear a costume. You call them chaps. You wear a costume, you know, and you work the crowd. And it's just nothing but theater. But
have you ever ridden a bull yourself?
No, thrown a lot, but never rode one.
Okay, okay. So, as far as your family goes, if you had it all to do over again, would you do things differently with your family?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Oh, there's no question that I would have attended more of the Little League games, and I would have gone on the scout hikes and overnights for the scouting. My boys both went into scouting, hot and heavy. But my idea of camping is pine-scented bubble bath, so it was not something that I shared with my boys. But thank heaven, our neighbors were richly endowed with outdoors hunting and fishing and hiking types that really became surrogate fathers to my boys.
Okay. You began the festival using, for your actors, students and community members.
We did.
And nowadays, do you still have or employ any locals as actors, or do you strictly use professionals from outside?
Basically, the acting company is a third of our acting company, of course, are unioned actors. They're equity actors from New York and Hollywood and Toronto and all sorts of places. Another third of our actors are finishing graduates in major conservatory and graduate programs around the country. So they're in their mid to late 20s. And then the other third are younger actors, and those we do select some always from Southern Utah University. We select some from other universities in the state, undergraduate students for those. And then we employ at the festival in the summer, we would employ in other capacities as well, carpentry, in wig making, in costume construction, in box office and company management, those kinds of responsibilities. We probably have 30 to 40 SUU students hired.
So if somebody had some sort of American Idol type dream of trying out for the Utah Shakespearean Festival, is there a place they could go to audition around here, or would they have to kind of know someone or have prior experience or things like that?
Oh, they'd make an application. They can do that online, and our casting people go through those very carefully. They look for the kinds of experiences, the kinds of training, and the programs through which they have matriculated. And we pretty well know the actor training programs in the United States now. We know where the best training is coming out of for classical theater. And when they apply, that's a green light immediately. And yet that's not to say that there aren't extraordinarily gifted actors that are not in a program of that sort, and they apply. If there's any promise at all in the application, then we usually have our casting coach, our casting director, schedule. She schedules in New York City, in Toronto, in Chicago, usually down in Miami or Tampa, someplace there, in Dallas, Fort Worth, in Denver, in Seattle, and in Los Angeles. She has sites that she will go, and if there's an actor whose application is, let's say, in the Spokane or Portland area, the committee will then say, we'll make you, if you can get to Seattle on such and such a day or in such and such a time frame, we will schedule you an audition, an actual personal audition. And then that's kind of how it's done. And then she selects the entire company of actors. There's 50 to 60 actors that we bring in, but we bring in about 480 employees.
Okay.
Only 60 of them are actors.
You have mentioned earlier that you went on a 3-year LDS mission to Finland.
I did.
And that you, of course, grew up in the southern Utah, southern Nevada area. There's no people like show people.
That's what they tell me.
As we've heard. Over the years, have the standards of any of these outside show people ever made you nervous or uncomfortable?
Oh, not really. Not really.
To the extent that they're not like the Utah crowd that you grew up with, and that and they are like the people that might have made the Cedar City residents nervous in the 60s.
Oh, well, actually, surprisingly, I would say that a high 70% of the 480 that we bring in are pretty straight arrow. They're the kind of people you'd like to have meet your children, you'd like to invite into your home for dinner. They're just very, very nice, open, honest, straightforward people. And with extraordinary talent and many times a lot of wonderful idiosyncrasies that I think children need to be exposed to. The smaller percent, the 10% or so, maybe 15%, they kind of winnow themselves out. They're the ones we don't usually have back. I would say 65 to 70% of our company reapply the next year. They love Cedar City. They love southern Utah. They love the parks. They love hiking. They love camping. They love to go fishing. They love walking the main street and having people visit with them and look at them in the eye. These kids come from New York. These kids come from Chicago, where you look at the pavement. You never look at the person you're passing on the street. And they come to St. George, or they come to or they come to Cedar City, or they come to Beaver, any of these towns. You walk down a main street, everybody looks at you. And they smile, they catch your eye and say, good morning, have a nice day, how are you doing? These imported people are so blown away by this that they want to come back. They love coming back year after year. And it's no small feat that the audiences are so hip. They are so savvy. They know their Shakespeare, but they also know their musicals. They also know their other dramas, and they revel in it. And these kids are performing in front of an audience that absolutely is rooting for them, and that's an amazing thing. You go to many theater sections around the United States, and the audience is sitting there with their arms folded saying, just try and make me laugh. Just try and make me enjoy this. And they come here, and this audience is just love just pouring across those footlights. It's a great experience.